What's going on, guys? It's Wednesday night again, and here we are with Squadron Live. And it's good to be here. Good to be back in my arcade room. I didn't think I was going to be in here again after last week, but as things always seem to go, things take longer than originally planned. So as you can tell, I am not at my new house. I am back at the arcade, but that's fine with me because after this show wraps up later this evening, I might find myself over there playing Pac-Man or Galaga before these things get packed up for who knows how long. But we'll see. And good to see you tonight, Slick. And yes, I am. I'm back in the arcade. So good to see everybody tonight. Joseph is here, and you got your first pig model. They make some interesting things for sure. And the 1/44th scale balloon, I guess, is what you got since you're talking about painting those figures. All I got to say is painting 1/44th scale figures is not near as hard as painting 350 or 700 scale ship figures. So it's possible. So tiny paint brushes and a little bit of patience, I guess, is the only advice I can give you. And try not to pull all of your hair out. But good luck with it. I'm sure it'll turn out great. And Jason is here, and the FOMO was too great. You pre-ordered the Bloody 100th. Good, because that's going to be an awesome kit. And the cool thing about it is just this week, they being, who is it? Edward. they finally released their box art for the kit. Now, they're calling this the preliminary image, so apparently this is not final yet, but obviously it's close enough to being final that they were willing to share it with everybody. So, and this of course is done by our good buddy Peter, and I love that guy. He does such good work. If you don't know, I talk about Peter all the time, and one of these days, Peter, you got to tell me how to pronounce your last name. It's like Forkowsowicz, maybe. You can, next time we talk, you can tell me how to say your last name. But peter4.com is his website. So if you want to see more of his work, you can check him out. All of our new Squadron Signal books, Squadron in Action books, they're all done by him, all the aircraft ones, that is. Like, here we go. There's our F-16 book on his website. So peter4.com, you can see all of his work. He does really good stuff for us, for Edward, for some other magazines, and he even did the box art for the Magic Factory Gerald R. Ford. So he just does a lot of good work, and I was very excited to see that he was the one responsible for the Bloody 100th kit from Edward. So anyway, glad the FOMO got you, Jason, and I hope it gets everybody else too, because it's going to be an awesome kit. And the final numbers of how many we're bringing in to Squadron, the final numbers have been placed. Edward has ordered the plastic sprues from HK Models. So what's getting made is getting made, at least for now. Who knows what the future will hold, but if you want one of those things, make sure to head over to squadron.com and get one on order, or pre-order, I should say, while you can. They are due out in August, and I'm just very excited about it. So glad you got one, Jason. Let's see, looks like Scotty could also not pass up on it. It's going to be a good kit. Good to see you tonight, Scotty. And Tom, microscope to paint the small 1/44 scale figures. It would certainly help. Let's see, Randy's watching the Braves play and working on a book review. Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out. When you get done with that review, send it over to me in the email. I'd like to see what you thought about Osprey's new book. You know, Osprey's got some really good stuff, and I'm excited once we get moved and get settled in our larger place. There's a lot of brands of kits and books and accessories and all sorts of goodies that we're really hoping to start carrying at Squadron, and Osprey, of course, being one of those. They've got a huge selection of books, and most of it's really, really nice. Everything I've ever had from them has been something I've really enjoyed. So good to see you tonight, Lawn Care Novice. And Tom coming to us again from the villages of the White Sands. Good to see you, buddy. And good. I'm glad you are going to send us some show and tell stuff. I've been getting quite a few good submissions for our June show and tell, which will be next Wednesday night. So if you have not sent me any of your completed model kits or your in-progress model kits, make sure to send those over to me at info@squadron.com. Next Wednesday night will be our show and tell, and I've got a lot of good stuff so far from you guys. And I am hoping that this weekend coming up is WonderFest, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a few minutes. But I'm hoping that I will have a few minutes to get over to the model contest room and take some pictures of my own that I can show off next Wednesday. With any luck, I can figure out whose models I'm taking pictures of to show off next week. But I am sure there will be some things there that are of interest to me. So I'll take some pictures and hopefully have those to show off too. Speaking of pictures and videos and such of model shows, Jason sent me a nice little video of the Knoxville show from this past weekend. So we'll take a look at that in a few minutes. Let's see, Scotty. Those are very kind words of you, my friend. It's good to see you tonight and glad you're here, and hope we have a good time tonight. Wayne's coming to us from Ohio. Good to see you. Rex, yes, hopefully it'll be another fun night. I always have a good time with you guys. Let's see. Who else do we have in here tonight? Nick is here. Good to see you, buddy. And Carlos. And Wes, yes, it is Wednesday night already. I don't know how that happened. It seems like just yesterday I was here on my laptop last week. But here we are. Hey, Ed, good to see you tonight, buddy. Lance, good to see you tonight, my friend. And yep, back in the arcade again. You know, it's too bad I can't load up all these arcade machines and bring them to Nationals, and we can just set up a big arcade room right in the middle of the vendor room, look at models, buy models, build models, play arcade games. That'd be a pretty wonderful thing, at least for me. And Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Good to see you tonight. Hey, David, good to see you tonight, buddy. Coming to us from Florida. How's the move going? It is going slow. Unfortunately, nothing really exciting to report. Just a lot of slow going at the moment. I'm still trying to get my new house ready for my family to move over. Seems like all I did this week was stay up really, really late painting and ripping carpet out and putting new wood floor in. I'm the kind of guy that likes to try to do it all myself, so sometimes it makes for very long nights, but it'll be worth it in the end, right? Good to see you tonight, Charles and John. I'm looking forward to the latest news myself, John. Got a little bit of good news this week that we'll talk about in a second. And Greg, yeah, these guys, they did get here early, which, by the way, what I'm going to try to start doing is I'm going to try to make sure that this room gets opened up by 8 o'clock each Wednesday night. Sometimes it'll be earlier than that. But anybody that wants to get in and start chatting early and hang out and talk, feel free to. The room will be open by 8 o'clock, and feel free to jump in and start chatting with each other. Sometimes I may be in the chat room early. But like tonight, I was on a lawnmower until about 10 or 15 minutes before the show started. But 8 o'clock on Wednesday nights, you guys can get in here and start chatting and hanging out. Hey, Rusty. Let's see. Wayne's putting in his guess for 23 truckloads. Well, keep your number in mind, and we'll put in those official guesses hopefully soon. It'll be after Nationals, but it's going to be fun to figure out how many. At this point, I'm not allowed to. I have been told by everybody at the warehouse I'm no longer allowed to give secret Easter eggs, I guess, on how many trucks we've taken over there. I'm supposed to keep it a secret. So those 2 or 3 trucks that we took over that I've already talked about, that's all you're getting apparently. everything else is up to you and your guess. Charles, good to see you. And Mark, good to see you. The other Mark, good to see you guys. Hey, Danny, good to see you tonight. And Barry. And Franco's here with us again. Monte coming to us from California. Yeah. Let's see. Steven's here. Good to see you tonight. Danny. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff coming out. Oh man, I've been locked out of my own website. I was going to pull it up and see which one of those you're talking about. We had so many things that that's part of the good news I was talking about. One of the containers finally cleared the Panama Canal, made its way over to Savannah, and it's been unloaded and just waiting to get put on a truck and brought over to us. Hopefully that'll happen in the next day or two. But so many things in it, and things that I wish we had already, but lots of stuff finally broke through, and will be here very, very soon. Franco's Missile Command. Yeah, you can't see it from the video probably, but it's back there somewhere. I have Missile Command. It's in this little room over here. It's a fun game. I'm terrible at it, but I like playing it anyway. Actually, I'm terrible at most of these games. I thought I was good, and then my kids started whipping my butt, and I realized that I wasn't as good as I was. Maybe I was a lot better when I was younger, but that's just how it goes, I guess. Ken, greetings to you too, my friend. Fred, good to see you tonight. And yes, Fred, I am also looking forward to that San Diego. And I might have mentioned what was going on with that before, but I'll give you the quick rundown. Verifier was kind of two guys, and they basically split, like a lot of these companies tend to do for whatever reason. And the guy that owns the Atlanta class tooling, he's the one that broke off and started Zimmy Model, who now owns Kitty Hawk Models and Panda Models. And he left the Verifier company, but he took the Atlanta class tooling with him because he owns it. I would too, right? So he is still planning on releasing the San Diego, but it's not going to be under the Verifier name. Right this very moment, I don't know what name it's going to be under. He's got a few ideas. I've offered a few ideas. We'll see. But it will come at some point, but it's kind of been on the back burner. He's got his hands very full of Kitty Hawk aircraft at the moment. So hopefully it won't be too much longer. But I stay on him about it. Every once in a while I ask him and try to fan the flame on that. So hopefully it won't be too long. Jason, none of that surprises me at all. The cool thing, when I saw you mention the Tora movie, the cool thing is I got to see one of those Japanese planes. It landed here in town. So, but yeah, a lot of those movies, even now, it was interesting. When I did the interview with Lucky Luckadoo last week, of course, right now the Masters of the Air is kind of the hot topic, I guess you will, if you will. But we were talking about that, and he was telling me all the things that they didn't do right, and not that they didn't do right, that they just omitted. They didn't even talk about in the movie, and it was funny because he was talking about how it's not that they just left it out. He says they asked me what I thought about it, and I told them about it, and then they left it out anyway. But my point in saying that is it's interesting to me how all the movies tend to miss something. You would think with all of the history and all of the information out there, you would think these movie makers would get it perfect, but unfortunately it's just not the case most of the time. Still a good movie though, right? Hey Nick, I am not sure why you're getting double audio. Hopefully it's not something that I have done wrong over here, but oh, I see you were logged in twice. There you go. All right, let's see what we got else in here tonight. William, good to see you. Jason says, yeah, there's going to be an arcade section when we revive EagleCon. Well, Eagle Quest, I guess you mean. That'd be kind of cool. Eagle Quest, a model convention and a vintage arcade gathering. Hey, I'd be up for it. There you go, Charles. Yeah, hook us up over there. Get us an arcade room at the in Hampton. It'd be pretty awesome. Good to see you tonight, Frank. Party time indeed. Yeah, the Mortal Kombat games, Jason, those are the ones that my kids really whip me at for some reason. Like, I used to be really good at those. And my 7-year-old, he just, I don't understand how in the world he got so good at them. Probably because while I'm at work, he's up here playing and practicing so that when I get home, he can, he's been playing all day and he says, hey, come up here and play this with me real quick. And he just whips me like I've never played the game before. But, oh well. Hey, Michael. All right. I'll have to check that out sometime. But that, you're talking about that 700 scale container cargo ship. That was a really cool kit. And I really wish that would become available again because I never did get one. And there was I don't know if you got it, but there used to be a really cool decal set that had all sorts of different names and whatnot for the containers on that model kit. So this is a really neat kit. Maybe we'll see that around again sometime, but I'll have to check out that show you're talking about. Hey Brian, which you got to tell me in the chat down here. I guess I'm forgetting something. Tell me which kit you're looking forward to getting. I need to make sure I know what you're talking about. As soon as you say it, I'll probably remember, but I'm just forgetting at the moment. And Chris is in here tonight. Good to see you. Hey, Chris showed me a cool picture tonight of looked like a Yamato class that had a modern conversion on the back of it. Kind of like you've seen the Iowa class with the modernized conversion with the aircraft on the back of it. The same kind of thing. It's kind of cool. Yeah, Randy, Galaga's probably my favorite game in this room. If I just had to pick one game to go play for a couple of minutes. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I got to back up here for a second to Brian. I just remembered what you were talking about. You're talking about that Minicraft collection F-14 stuff. And yes, those are going to be awesome. And, well, all of the Minicraft collection stuff is awesome. And we got to get all that in here. Those things seem to just go bye-bye like candy. As soon as you get one, and this is the same thing with a lot of little accessory brands, especially nowadays with the 3D printing, you don't really know what you're missing until you buy one. And then as soon as you get one, you realize that what this company makes is amazing. Minicraft Collection is certainly like that. H3 models, their figures. You're like, why would I buy that? And then you get one, and the next thing you know, you've bought everything that they offer. So, but yeah, Brian, we'll get all that stuff back in. Hey, Fred, good to see you tonight. What is up with the 700 scale Queen Elizabeth carrier? It is coming. I don't know exactly when it's supposed to be here yet, but it's supposed to be one of their this year releases. And if I'm not mistaken, it's supposed to be by, fingers crossed, by the end of summer. But when relying on the slow boat from China, you never know. They have, I'm pretty sure that I'll, I'll have to check when I'm back at the office, but I can't remember if it was part of this month's releases in China or if it's going to be next month's releases. Sometimes I get them confused because when they release a kit, it's still a month or two before we get them here. So sometimes I get things confused. But it is coming, and it's going to be pretty neat. I'm excited to see it. I know they've got the 350th scale Naiad is finally going to be here, maybe next week. And then I know that they've got I think it's the 350th scale Jeanne d'Arc, if that's how you say that. That's coming sometime in the next couple of months. Man, I forget all the ships that they've got coming, but they've got several, and that is certainly one of them. So sorry I didn't have a more prepared answer for you on that. Okay, Danny. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Though you're gonna like that. So let me know what you think about it when you get it and get it built up, and let me see it. I'd love to do some of those. So many of those types of models have been coming out lately. I hope that they continue to do stuff like that. So we'll see. Jeremiah was a bullfrog. Photo etch glue. That's a big old fun bag of worms to play with. So what are you currently using? What have you tried, and what have you had trouble with what you're trying? Go ahead and put it down there, and we'll talk about that a little bit. We can go back and forth because I've got some, and not just photo etch glue, but any kind of modeling. It's all kind of like what you're used to, what you're good at using, what you've tried. Everybody's got their own ways of doing this or doing that. So put down in the chat down there what you've been using, and I'll tell you what I do, and everybody else can tell me what they do, and I'm sure you guys do it better than me anyway. John, hints about some upcoming aircraft in action titles. Well, I won't give you any hints. I'll just flat out tell you, and unfortunately we don't have very many of them in the queue at the moment. But the very next one is going to be finally the AJ Savage in action. That will be here either in July or August. They're finally done. And that is the last in action book that is currently done. After that, we will be doing the B-24 Planes, Names, and Dames book, which will be pretty cool, I think. It's going to have some in-action type material. It's going to have some walk-around type material, and then it's going to have a heck of a lot of 3D artwork from Peter in it, along with some other fun goodies that we'll be announcing soon. And after that, we've got some other things kind of on the table, so to speak. Dana Bell is kind of sort of working on a B-17 in action book for us, but that's a little ways out. And that's kind of where we're at right now with the in action series, unfortunately. Moving has certainly not helped with getting more titles on the table. Oh, and I take that back. That is all the aircraft ones, but we are doing, and you'll get a kick out of this, we've got a railguns in action book being worked on. And there's quite a good bit of information about my favorite, the Dora, in there. So the guy that is writing this book is very knowledgeable, and he's actually in Germany. And next week he's going to be at the Krupp factory, actually, or the museum, or whatever they call that. He's going to be at Crow, I'll say it that way. And he's got a lot of good information and pictures and things. He's meeting their curator or whatever and working on that. He's been sending me some things that he's collected, and I've certainly not seen everything there is in the world, but what he's sent me I've not seen, so I'm kind of excited. So but I am sure, John, that we will have some other things coming down the line later after we get moved in to our new place. That's really just kind of set us back a little bit on being able to do things, projects and whatnot. But we'll get all that fixed very, very soon. Yes, Chris, pinball. I have a pinball machine in here, but it's a digital pinball machine. Maybe one day I'll get a real one. It'd be pretty awesome. Tom, just tuning in with us tonight. Unfortunately, I don't have an agenda tonight. I was cutting grass all the way up until about 10 or 15 minutes before the show started, and earlier in the day I wasn't sure if I was going to be here or if I was going to be in Ringgold, but we're just kind of hanging out and seeing what you guys want to talk about. So if anybody's got any questions or things we want to talk about, throw it down in the chat. In just a second, when I scroll down a little bit further, hopefully we're going to be talking about photo etch and glue. Let's see. Meandering the Maze. Is Verifier going to start moving on some kits after this split? As far as I know, the only kit that was really affected in this split is the Atlanta class. Everything else stayed under the guy who owns the Verifier name, and we've actually got a big restock of that stuff coming in this week. And the coolest thing about what's coming back in stock that I thought we would never see again is the 700 scale H-class battleship from them. So if you've been looking or hoping for one of those, we will finally have those back. Fred, don't worry. As soon as I get those San Diegos, or as soon as they give me an official name and the new box art, that will be all over our website and email newsletter and this Wednesday night show and everything. Let's see. John, are you talking about the little die cast, like they were like 100 scale or something? Is that the postage stamp models you're talking about? Hey Kenny, good to see you tonight. Better late than never, buddy. Glad you could make it. Yeah, Fred, that movie makers aren't worried about little details. That is true. It is true. Alright, here we are, catching up to Jeremiah Was a Bullfrog. You have just used super glue, but the pros must use a better glue. Well, I am certainly no pro, but I will tell you what I use. So, in the hobby world, there is something called cyanoacrylic glue, which I guess that's how you say that. In short, you call it CA glue. That's what most guys would refer to it as. And basically, that's just a fancy way of saying super glue. But if you go buy just regular old super glue at Walmart or whatever, it's usually pretty thin. You get it on your finger and it immediately, sticks your fingers together. It immediately sets. But in the hobby world, we have different options of CA glue that have different viscosities. So like thick, thicker, super thick, a gel, which is exactly what it sounds like. You have mediums, you have thins. You got all the different companies call it something different, right? But for me, on my model workbench, I usually keep what I call a thin, a medium, and a thick. And usually, the thicker the CA glue is, the longer cure time it has. So depending on what you're working on, you may use a thicker, you may use a thinner. Like when I'm building 350th scale ships and I'm doing the handrails on the side, some of you guys might be shaking your head at me saying that is not the good way to do it, but this is how I do it. For like a 350th scale, I like to use my medium viscosity glue, and I like using a toothpick. But I'll take the toothpick and take my X-Acto knife and I'll shave the toothpick down to a really, really fine point. And the reason I use a toothpick is because I can throw them away. I can buy a box of 1,000 of them for a few bucks. And I'll line my rails up, and I'll usually tack the one end of it so I hold it in place. Then I kind of line it up in place, and I run my toothpick along the bow or along the edge of the where the rails are going, and kind of just let it do its work. Now, when I do like a 700 scale, I'll do the same thing, but a lot of times I'll use a thin super glue, because if you get too much on there, you can see it, and it's pretty obvious, pretty horrible. So you got to get a little bit of practice getting it in there. But the different CA glues and the different thicknesses and the different cure times will really help you. Now, one of the other things that a lot of people will use is using white glue, which think Elmer's glue. And there is a company called Gator Grip that makes one that we sell, and there's, I'm sure, thousands of different companies that make the same type of thing, but the one that we sell is called Gator Grip, made by a guy named Kenny Luke. He does a really, really good job. He's got two formulas. He's got a thick and a thin. I think he calls it the original and the thin. But it's a white glue, and the way that he makes it, if you look at it, it would remind you of an Elmer's glue, but it's a little bit different formula, and it's just really, really good at holding small, really, really small parts. You may not use this for big photo etch pieces, like if you're doing a 200 scale, I don't know, mast or something. You may not do that, but for really, really fine parts, this stuff really works. It takes a few minutes to dry, but once it's dry, it's clear, and it's really, really nice. So for me, using either a CA glue, a fancy word for super glue, or using a white glue like Gator Grip, that usually works for me. Sometimes, depending on what it is, this is like really cheating, I guess, and it only works on really extremely small parts. But sometimes if I'm priming my photo etch, like on radars and masts and things, sometimes if I prime them and I've got a small, like a, I don't know, like a yard arm or something, just a really small piece, and I'm talking 700 scale. Sometimes when I spray the primer on there, I can hold the piece of photo etch on and let the primer actually act as the glue. Very, very small parts only. I've never even tried anything like that with bigger parts. But my problem when I get to doing extremely small photo etch parts for me is, once you prime, or you glue, you prime, you paint, you do all this stuff, those little parts, you build up those layers, and all of a sudden all the details gone. So sometimes you got to get a little bit creative and figure out what works for you. But in general, a CA glue, a super glue, or a white glue is really kind of just works for me. So everybody else, sound off in the comments and tell us how you do it, because there's got to be better ways than what works for me, and I'm curious to hear what you guys do and maybe try something new for myself. Meandering the Maze says medium star bond. All right. Take a detour here real quick. The Squadron nippers, Tom, yes, they are done and they are headed our way, but this is going to be a little while. We're hoping to have a few examples of them to show off at Nationals in July, and then have them to sell shortly after that. All right, Wes has been using Loctite Ultra Gel, bought at Home Depot. Well, that would, sounds like it would work. Ultra gel, probably I'm assuming a thicker type of super glue. Yeah, when you use if you see one called a gel, going on the lines of the thin, the medium, the thick, the gel, I've used it some, but I haven't ever really used it much. I've got some, but I've never really found, for me, I've never really found something that I would use that for versus, just a thick CA. So, Wes, let me know what you use the gel for. Maybe you use it for everything. Brian uses Gator's grip. It's good stuff. Hey, Ted, good to see you tonight, buddy. Flightline Media is here. Good to see you tonight. Cool. You got a F4J video. Make sure to send that over, send me a link, and I'd love to check that out. Greg, when are we going to release the Railgun book? I unfortunately have to say, if we waited for me to finish the Dora, you might never see the book. But I did tell the guy writing it to take his time. I'd rather it be good than rushed. So maybe we'll luck out. Maybe my Dora build can be finished along the same lines as the Railgun, because I don't think that book's probably going to be ready until sometime next year. I could be wrong, but that's maybe I can accept that as a challenge. Get the Dora model kit finished by the time the book is ready. Oh man, David's here. Good to see you tonight, David. He uses Gator grip, and he rarely uses CA. All right, well, there you go. Hey, Jose is here from Custom Dioramics. Good to see you tonight, buddy. The move is going slow, but don't worry, I will soon be your neighbor. We'll be right down the road from you. Yeah, I wanted to come to the Chattanooga Model Club meeting this past Monday, but it just didn't work out. I was there in Ringgold. I just was slammed trying to get the house ready. So maybe I can make next month's meeting. We'll hope for it. So I was building a lot of 700 scale, and I agree. They're very small. And lately I have been buying more 350 stuff than I have 700 scale. In fact, I've been selling off a lot of my 700 stuff because I realized that I really like the 350. It takes longer. There's a lot more detail to be done on 350, but I don't know. The thing that I really wanted to do in 700 scale was I really wanted to build every single U.S. battleship, and that's possible in 700 scale. In 350 scale, at the time, it was not very possible. I guess it was possible, but not as easy to collect all of those battleships in that scale. But fast forward to today, it's a lot closer to possible than it was. So I don't know. Maybe I'll take on that crazy project one day. Hello, Mike from Wisconsin. I don't know what part of Wisconsin you're in, but hopefully we'll see you in Madison in July up at the IPMS show. Mark, the kit you're talking about from ICM, the CH-54, with the container, I believe it is going to be here in just a few weeks. I'm pretty sure that was part of their of this month's releases, and if I'm not mistaken, we were supposed to get those in June. So check out the website soon on that. If they're not up there for sale yet, they will be soon. But pretty sure. I'm sitting here looking now, trying to get a better answer on that for you. Yes, they are coming on the next shipment. So, and we've got them up for pre-order on the website now. So make sure to run over there and check that out. There they are. And you know, while I'm thinking about it, while I'm answering more of these chats, I'm going to go ahead and turn this on. There is no audio on this, so this is the video that Jason sent us. This is from the IPMS show in Knoxville this last weekend. And he sent me this video. It's a few minutes long, but like I said, there's no audio here, so we'll just let this play while we keep chatting and talking about stuff. But this will give you a really good overview of their IPMS show they had this past weekend. So thank you, Jason, for sending that. Let's see. And Mark, to go back to that CH-54, yeah, I just got confirmation from one of our guys at the warehouse. Those are ordered and they'll be here in time for Nationals. So that translates into it'll be here before the middle of July, hopefully by the end of June. Kenny, I don't know if Orange Hobby is discontinued. At the moment, we haven't got anything coming from them. I actually haven't talked to them in a while, so if they're gone, I wouldn't be surprised, but I hope they're not gone. That is one of those brands that I really hope to get back in with after we get moved, because they had some really cool stuff. Fred, I don't know the answer to that question. I guess time will tell. Let's see, Michael uses the Walmart glue if he wants to take things apart again. And if you don't want things to come apart again, you've got the extreme stuff from Hobby Lobby. There you go, but same concept applies, the thick and the thin. So your different viscosities, your different cure times, that's going to be the trick. Playing around with them, seeing what works best for you. William, yes, the Cowpens kit from Flyhawk. I did say that last week, and unfortunately I have not got a chance to send that email yet. I apologize, but don't worry if you pre-ordered the standard. I can swap it for the deluxe, no problem. I hope to get an email out about that soon, but if you don't want to wait for that, if you'll just shoot me an email to info@squadron.com with your order number and just say, hey, I want to swap up to the deluxe version, I'll get that done for you. PE glue is only thin CA, Fred says. All right. Fred likes his thin stuff. That's good. Good night to you too, Danny. See you next week. Oh yeah, Michael Cantor, I forgot all about Accelerator. So the coolest thing about CA glue, super glue, is being able to use what is called an accelerator. And it usually comes in a spray bottle, little miniature spray bottle. But you can, I've done this, you can dump some out and use a toothpick to put it in one specific spot. But this stuff, if you put your super glue on and say you had a 10 or 20 or 30 or whatever second cure time, you can spray a little bit of accelerator on there and it makes it immediately cure. So if you're trying to hold something in place and you're trying to glue and you're like, hurry up and cure, get it on there, spray it with accelerator, and it immediately cures. I can't believe I forgot to mention that, Michael. Thank you for pointing that out. That yeah, you have to have accelerator with your CA glue. It's like once you use it, you'll wonder how in the world you ever built models without it. And Rick uses white glue. And Charles says medium CA gel. All right, I guess I'm going to have to try the gel a little bit more because I've never really used, like I said, I've got some, I've used it, but run a bead along the length. Okay, with a dental probe. All right, well, I'm going to have to try some gel. Franco's uses Gorilla Glue. Well, that'll hold it. Zapagap Ken uses, but issues with the shelf life. That is one problem with CA glue is that it does have a shelf life. Now, what's interesting to me about shelf lives is it seems to be different with every brand. And the, unfortunately, like the worst one that I've had was the last batch of Squadron CA glue that we produced. Or, well, we didn't produce it. A factory did it for us and put our name on it. And that stuff didn't last long at all. But then the very next, the batch before that, I've still got some that I don't even hardly close it. It stays open on my model bench, and it works just fine. And I've had glue. I used to use glue from mercury adhesives. Same thing. Some bottles would last forever. Some wouldn't last hardly at all. And I know people will tell you got to seal it. You can't let any air get to it. But I haven't figured out what in the world the difference is. The BSI stuff, the Bob Smith, the Zappa Gap that you're talking about, I've had it last weeks and months. Some of it I've had it last years, and some of it I've had it last hardly at all. I remember when we had our retail store up in Blue Ridge, we would have to go over and check what was sitting on the shelf, because if it had been sitting there too long, it'd be hard sitting on the shelves. So the way we have figured out to combat that, to make sure we don't send bad stuff to customers, is we simply don't order very much at any given time. We used to order so much at a time, a huge bulk, but we realized that was a bad idea, because the longer it sits there, the better, or I guess the more likely it is to be hard. So we figured order a little bit at a time and just order a little along to make sure. But that is just something to keep in mind if you've got Zappa Gap or whatever brand of CA glue. Make sure that you seal your bottles really good. The more airtight that it is, the better chance you have of it lasting longer. And some people will tell you that temperature has something to do with it too, and perhaps that's been my problem, because my bottles that I have back in my shed, I only have the air or the heat on if I'm back there. So if it's back there getting 95 degrees during the day, or 20 degrees in the winter, that probably has something to do with it too. Maybe somebody can chime in a little bit more knowledgeable on that. But there's a lot of things to consider when you're storing your super glue. So let's see. Kenny Wade uses the BSI glues, the Bob Smith stuff. That is some good stuff for sure. And glue looper tools. Those glue looper tools are kind of cool. If anybody's ever seen them, there's all sorts of different types. But basically, a lot of people will do them out of photo etch. But it's a little tool, and it's got a little bitty circle on the end of it. And it's a really good, it's an applicator. You dip it in your CA glue. It's really neat. Randy says he just avoids photo etch. That's the easiest way to not know or not have to deal with super glue. 411 Maintainers here tonight. Good to see you, buddy. Coming to us from Canada. Let's see. Chris Martin's made it in. Hey, buddy. Good to see you tonight. And Wes, thick and thin. Gel thicknesses, okay. You really like the dispensers. All right. 3/50th scale ship models is what you're using your gel on. Ed. Aleene's tacky glue. All right. I've definitely not tried that one. I'll have to look into that. To tacky. Oh, I see. So you're using that to kind of get it in place, and then you secure it with thin CA. That's cool. I've done something similar to that with the Gator grip we're talking about. I've used it to kind of tack it in place, because if you've used the Gator grip, you know what I'm talking about. You can almost kind of like clump it on and stick your photo etch in there, and it'll immediately stay. It's not cured. It won't stay there forever. You can pick it up, but you can almost use it kind of as a hold in place kind of thing. So I've done that. Hold it in place and then glue it with the super glue for the permanent connection, I guess. Man, I hope you guys are watching this video. These are some nice builds. Y'all had a lot of car models show up for that. That's really cool. Yeah, Greg, the Great White Fleet, that was certainly going to be a part of my 700 scale collection. But maybe I can find all those ships in 350 scale. And yeah, Ken, that would it would certainly take up a lot of space. See, I have these big dreams of these big model projects, and the only way I would ever be able to display them is up at our warehouse. And of course, every time I start talking about bringing models up there, the guys in the warehouse are like, no, you can't put built models back here. We got to put models for sale. So it's always a fun fight for real estate at the warehouse. But you know, ultimately they win because I don't get any models finished, apparently. But maybe one day I'll actually get some models finished that I can actually take up there, and then we'll have a real fight about who gets to put stuff in the space, right? All right, Mike, you're an hour and a half away. Well, we are like 15 hours away, so surely if we're going to be there, you can be there. I at least hope so. Come over and check us out and say hello. I'd love to meet you. Let's see, Charles Rice. Since we're talking about ships, what have we got on the mobile website? Looking at ship kits, select a kit, go searching through the site for aftermarket. That is something that we are working on. Let's see, let me pull up. All right. I am going to pause the video for a moment so we don't miss that. And we're going to look here. If you go on here, we'll go to the ship model section since that's what we're talking about. And let's just say we're going to look for model kits in 350th scale that are in stock. So you can see the problem here. This is not a model kit. That's an accessory, so it should have been up under the accessories. So we have a lot of issues like that, and I'm trying to go through and get all of that fixed. So that is an ongoing project. But with over 30-something thousand items, it's taken a little while. So I do apologize about that. But if you go in here and let's see, let me pull up something that I know. Go to battleships. Let's pull up a I don't know, Bismarck. So here's a Bismarck, right? If you scroll down to the related products, this right now it's you know, AI is not as smart as some people would think. Sometimes it can be, but right now it's showing things that say Bismarck. But what this needs to show is, and this one's right. So here's a wood deck for it, but the system automatically tries to find other products that are for this. Now, I can manually override this, and I have on several products. But what will eventually happen is under this section, it won't say related products, it'll say accessories for this product. And you'll get a list of everything that can be used for that. But you can imagine how long that's taking to get all that done. We're still trying to get everything sorted out in the correct sections over here first. So when you come over here and click battleships, that's all you see. And right now, we're in the ship model section, and it's giving you options for A-20 Havocs. Well, that's just wrong. So, but we'll get all that fixed, and getting the accessories and the related accessories and all that for each ship is certainly something that I want to do, and we have the ability to do it. It's just taking time, and that once we get moved, we'll have a little bit more time to do that and work on things like that. But it is in progress, and hopefully we'll get it done at some point very soon. Let's see. Michael, the Yamato from Verifier, that is supposed to be out, I think, in August is when we'll get them. A lot of this stuff that's coming that we're talking about tonight is actually supposed to be here in time for Nationals, but the containers have already been delayed, and so we like to think that they're going to be here in the middle of July, but I've just already started saying August for some of this stuff, like the Yamato. So, but it is coming. Hey, Fred, ship books. That is certainly something on the table. We've got a couple things lined up, but just nothing that we're ready to talk about yet until it's a little bit more finalized, I guess we'll say. Meandering the maze. So I was talking about bringing on more brands and things, and rehooking up with older brands that we used to work with, like Orange Hobby. And once we get moved and we have the space, we have the manpower to handle it all, a lot of stuff from Japan is on that list. And Fujimi is certainly one of those. They got a lot of good kits. Their 350th scale stuff, unfortunately, they're just they do such short production runs on that stuff. And what I found out is when they do a production run, a lot of times they'll sell out in Japan before the distributors here in the U.S. even get an opportunity to buy them. So when you do see those come, we get them occasionally. I think I've gotten 350th scale Fujimi stuff, I think, twice since getting Squadron started up again here in Georgia. So, but after we get moved over, we've already got a line on, like, I don't know, maybe several, like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 different manufacturers in Japan, and they're all ready to work with us. It's just a matter of timing and space for us. So hopefully it won't be too terribly long, because all those kits are so cool, and I really hope to. And Aoshima too, man. Aoshima had some really nice 350 scale kits, so hopefully we'll see that stuff a little bit more frequently. And it looks like our video from Jason just finished up, so I hope everybody got to see that. That was the Knoxville IPMS show from this last weekend. A very cool turnout, and I want to back it up a little bit and see if I can find one. There it is. One kit in particular that I wanted to see, and I want to talk about it for a second. Where is it at? I think I passed it. There it is. All right, Jason, is that yours? Is that the orange that you ended up with on that? Let us know. I'm looking forward to seeing good pictures of it, but it looks good sitting there on the table. So glad you were able to get that finished up for your show. I know you were excited to get that done. Well, Fred, that might be a good thing. Shoot me an email sometime and we can get some conversations on that started. All right. And scroll down here real quick, and Jason says, yes, that is. So that's your X1. Awesome. Well, send me some pictures. We'll show it off next week for the show and tell. Hey, Rusty. So the New Mexico class, that was produced by Midship Models, and at the time that I had all of the battleships in 700 scale, I had those. I don't have them anymore. I've gotten rid of them. pretty sure that I don't think anybody else did them, or at least they haven't done them yet. But yeah, they were done by midship models. There was only one class of battleship that had not been done in 700 scale at the time that I was collecting all those, and it was oh man, I forget. It was one of the Never Was class. It was one of them that never actually got produced. Um, I forget which one it was. But anyway, if nobody had come out with those by the time I got ready to build all my kits, we were going to do one under Blue Ridge models. But that obviously never happened either. Let's see. According to a club member, he used water to cure super glue when he was filling in wing roots. All right. I've definitely never tried that, but that is interesting. All right, and going back to the temperature thing, Jeff says keep your CA glue in the fridge. It keeps a lot longer. All right, well, if cold helps it stay longer, then that has got to be my problem leaving my CA glue out in my shed, because it definitely gets in the 80 and 90 degrees range back there when I haven't been back there in a few days to turn the AC on. All right. Oh, and meandering the maze, humidity activates the CA. So that's why Mike was talking about the water curing it, and that's probably also why that probably also doesn't help with my CA being back there in my shed. All right, learning all sorts of stuff tonight. And Rick says he stores it in some homemade airtight jars. All right. See, we're all learning some cool tricks tonight. Yeah, it's always cool to see some of the funny things you see at the shows. You know, at the IPMS Nationals, they actually have a humor category, and I'm sure some local shows do too. Maybe y'all's show does, but it's always fun to see what guys come up with for those humor categories. Brian likes Gorilla and BSI the best. Well, I haven't tried the Gorilla, but the BSI stuff is really good for me. I like it a lot. Meandering says UV Bondic works well for tacking. All right. Jason, Cars and Gundams were the two big groups this year. Well, that's cool. That's really neat to see that. As long as the other categories don't get smaller, that's a really welcome thing in my opinion, because traditionally at these shows, those two categories, the Gundam category was basically non-existent until, relatively recently. And then a lot of times you don't see too many cars at the IPMS shows. So that's really nice that you're having a nice turnout for those. Yeah, Chris, I'll finish a model one day. Ed says, when Squadron was in Texas, had some display cabinets in the office area. And you built some of them. That's good. Well, when we get set up at the new place in Ringgold, we are going to have something similar to that. We have been kind of referring to it as what's going to be the Squadron Museum. It's basically going to be the entrance area to our new place, and we want to have display cabinets in there too. So if anybody has models that would like to be on display at Squadron, send me an email. We can talk about that, because obviously we know that I don't have enough models to put on display to be something to look at. So yes, I would love to have some of your guys' models on display there for everybody to see and enjoy. You're very welcome, Mark. Absolutely. And meandering, searching by ship name works well on the site. Well, I am glad to hear that, because the search function is something that I've been fighting with for like a year. And just in the last couple of months, I finally figured out some tricks in the code to make it work like I want to. So glad you're having good luck with it. That's good to hear. Hey, Fred. Yeah, the Hampton show next year, I'll be there. So it'll be good to see you there. And Charles, that'll certainly be welcome. Let me know if I can help you find anything. Those yet, I don't think. This shipment that's coming in the next couple of days has a ton of their 48 scale stuff on it. I think the most popular kit on this round is the Cougar kit, but their next round, they haven't told me yet what all's going to be in the next round, but those Voodoo kits are good. Unless something's wrong with the mold, they gotta release those, because they're going to be really popular. So hopefully I'll know real soon. See, William says Orange Hobbies Facebook show's active, so hopefully they still are, and hopefully we'll get back with them soon once we get moved over there. Water works as an accelerator. That is just really interesting. I'm going to have to try that. It'd be way cheaper than buying accelerator, wouldn't it? Ken has tried the CA in the fridge and it didn't help. Well, sorry to hear that. I don't know. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. I've had it just work so totally different. It's like I do the same thing and I get different results. So, you know, the fridge might work for one guy and might not work for the next guy. I don't know. Ken says isopropyl alcohol works for an accelerator. That's interesting as well. You know, you got to wonder sometimes, all these water, alcohol, all these different things. It's like, okay, well, what's really in that can accelerator that we're buying? Maybe it's just water and alcohol. So I got to ask, talking about show, you know, we did the Knoxville show video for last week. So this week we got WonderFest coming up. And I'm excited about WonderFest. You guys know that I like the show. And the bad thing for me, just for me, this is just bad for me, and my brother, I guess. My brother's going with me to the show, Jared. And usually I go on Thursday, Thursday afternoon I leave so that I'm there Friday to set up. The vendors get to set up Friday. And then the show starts Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. They have an early bird for at 8 o'clock. So you can buy, I don't know how much it is, but a guy can go and buy an early bird pass and you get to get into the vendor room 2 hours early on Saturday. Well, my daughter, she just turned 5 and she has been taking ballet. And she's got her ballet recital Friday evening at 6 o'clock here in Ellijay, or it's actually in Blue Ridge. Well, I'm absolutely not going to miss that. This is her first recital, and she's very excited. I'm excited to see that, and I get to see her have a good time. But what that means is not only do I not get to set up Friday, I don't even get to leave town till probably close to 8 o'clock Friday night. And it's about 6 hours to Louisville from Blue Ridge. And we're pulling a humongous trailer. So it's probably going to take a little longer than 6 hours. So we'll be rolling into Louisville around, I don't know, 2 o'clock maybe. Between 2 and 3 probably. And we've got to be up and I've got to have everything out of the trailer ready to roll into the vendor room at 7 o'clock Saturday morning. Now, this year we're going to, let's see, let me send this picture to myself real quick and I'll show you what we were doing at the shop today. We, give me just a second. Because of how fast I have to get set up, because the guys that pay for the early bird, you know, the WonderFest guys, they expect you to be set up by 8 o'clock. Really, they want you to be set up Friday night, but I told them, I said, I gotta do it Saturday morning. So they said, that's fine, it is what it is. But we're gonna have like less than an hour to set up, and if you guys have seen me at a show, you know I tend to kind of go a little overboard sometimes, and I don't want to hold back for this show just because I'm not going to have a lot of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of our tables that are in there and replace the tables with just rolling racks. So today we finished getting everything we're going to take. We got it all set up, and we basically mocked up our display booth area in the shop today, and everything's in place, everything's labeled, so this goes here, this goes here. So all Jared and I have to do when we get there is roll these things out and put them into place Saturday morning. Now, in theory, it should go really quick, but there's always roadblocks and there's always things that mess you up, right? But this is what we are planning to take. It looks kind of bad. This is back by our roll-up door. But this gives you an idea of what we have to do in less than an hour. Yeah, Jared thinks I'm nuts, but hey, he's still going with me, so he must not think I'm too nuts. Yeah, there we go. So that's our display. We got 8 of these rolling racks that'll be set up, and we'll have 1 or 2 of these little tables in the middle for a few accessories. And I had a couple guys message me and ask me to bring a hat, so there they are. Got you a hat coming if you want it. But mostly it's going to be sci-fi stuff. We got a lot of the X Plus stuff, but I'm bringing a few military kits as well, some of the new stuff. So it'll be fun. It's going to be a long drive in the middle of the night, but it'll be cool. I hope a lot of you guys are going to get to go to that. If you've never been to WonderFest, it's not an IPMS show. It's just kind of its own thing. And the first time I went, actually, was my brother went with me. It was 11 years ago, I guess it was. And Jared went with me then, and he hasn't been since. But I've been going every year since then. I missed 1 year a couple of years ago. And it's really neat. And what's really cool is over the last few years, I guess because I won't shut up about the show, a lot of my military model buddies have started going to it, and everybody that goes says they have a really good time. But it's really like a cult TV kind of show. Old B movies. You see lots of I don't even know most of the stuff that's there. I mean, obviously I know the Gremlins and whatever, but you get old classic stuff. This year, Ray Harryhausen's daughter is going to be there, showing off the collection of his, original models and things, which is kind of cool since X Plus is doing a bunch of Ray Harryhausen models like the Cyclops and this new Rhedosaurus. But they have a bunch of guys that, Star Trek and Star Wars, of course, and comic book stuff, old classic monsters. Frankenstein, Dracula, all that kind of stuff is really what you see here. But like I said, over the past couple of years, more and more you're seeing more and more guys that are interested in other types of models too. So last year I kind of rolled the dice and took a bunch of military kits with us, and it was more than welcome. So we'll do the same thing this year. So hopefully some of you guys can get there and we can hang out. It'll be nice to see you. And Chris's weekly question about the Massachusetts. You know, I'm going to have to put that to the top of the list, I guess, so I can get one of those to you. Um, it'll be soon. I actually had my hands on one of those today because as I was trying to find stuff to take to WonderFest that I had shoved in the back corner that we were saving for a rainy day, one of the Massachusetts kits was back there. It actually wasn't a kit; it was a box full of photo etch. So the good thing is, thankfully, I still have photo etch for it. So that's a lot of times that's the holdup on some of these kits. So because I have that, it's closer to getting one in your hands than it was. 411 says he would buy a lot more kits from me, but shipping to Canada is killing. That is an unfortunate truth. I don't know. I mean, everything costs more these days, but specifically shipping to anywhere outside of the lower 48 states has just really gone through the roof. And I haven't figured out what to do about it yet. I mean, you think shipping to Canada's high. I got a lot of really good customers down in Australia, and the shipping to Australia is just nuts. But what I am hoping, and there is no promises here, but what I'm hoping is, I've said many times one of the main reasons we're moving out of LJ is because of the logistics here, shipping inbound and outbound, and specifically outbound. Our postal services here are just, let's just say they're not very good. What I'm hoping is when we get over to Ringgold, we'll be dealing with the Chattanooga Postal Service. FedEx is there, and I am really, really hoping that we will be able to come up with some better ways to ship to our international customers, especially you guys up in Canada. I mean, we should be able to get stuff to you for not too terribly much more than, guys up in the northern parts of the states. So it is something that I really want to get fixed, and I'm hoping that when I get over to the big town with a lot more services that we'll be able to come up with some sort of a solution. So don't think we're throwing you guys to the out to out to the pasture or anything like that. I want your business. I really appreciate your business, and I do understand that the shipping rates are they're stupid. But that is one of the first things that when we get moved over there is to get all of our shipping in line, and international shipping is right up there at the top of the list of some of the things we want to try to work out. So, Michael, send it on over. I'd love to have it. That would be great. I guess we're going to talk about baking soda now. Use that as an accelerator and a gap filler, and Chris seconds that, saying it seems good. And Chris licks it to accelerate it. If that's true, Chris, I want to know how many times you've had to pull your tongue off of the top of your mouth. Chris Martins. Yeah, the Mr. Surfacer stuff is really nice too. That's another one of those Japanese brands that we've got on the block for getting in here. Where'd I get so many chrome rolling racks? I think I know a guy. You might know him too. All right, well, Lady Neville says, got the shipment. Well, I'm glad you got the shipment. I'm sorry it was crushed, but I'm very glad to know that the contents were okay. That's one of the bad things about the shipping too, is we do our best to, it's always this struggle of, okay, because everything these days, they don't do it by weight anymore. They do it by size. So we want to get the product in the smallest box that we can, so the shipping rate's as low as it can be, but the box has got to be big enough that it can survive the trip. But it's like no matter what we do or how hard we try, somebody's going to run over it somewhere, it seems. And it just, it's unfortunate. The shipping guys, a lot of times the guys that we deal with that bring our stuff to us, UPS or whoever, we end up knowing our local UPS driver, I guess you could say, and we're first name basis kind of stuff, right? See him every day, and those guys are usually really, really good. But somewhere down the line at a distribution plant, on the conveyor belts, all that stuff, your forklifts picking things up, it just sometimes the boxes just get destroyed, and I hate it. But Meandering says his postal genius has folded a Tom's photo etch set in his mailbox. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure when Richard ships those out, he puts a do not fold or do not bend sticker on it. It's like you can put whatever you want on there. It just makes it worse sometimes, I think. We put, sometimes we'll put fragile stickers on there, and sometimes it worries me. It's like, that might just make it worse. I don't know. Well, that's going to pretty much wrap us up for tonight. One thing that I got to show you that's kind of cool, we're talking about bringing hats to WonderFest, and I got a few shirts, I think, and I want to make a lot more of that stuff after we get moved in. It's just neat. It's something I enjoy doing. But this one, my wife just shakes her head and says that I'm nuts for even offering this. But this is not something that I came up with. This is actually, according to the copyright date, this is something that Squadron produced back in 1982. And we found who had the molds for these. And it's actually somebody that I've known for a long time, and we've been working. And when they found out that we bought Squadron, he called me and said, hey, guess what I have? And these are Squadron belt buckles, metal belt buckles. And I think they're cool. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but I have a whopping total of 5 of them at the moment. So I might always have these 5. Or they might be gone tomorrow. You never know. But, everybody's got hats. Everybody's got shirts. Everybody's got stickers. But how many other hobby stores do you know that has their own belt buckle? We do. So I'm going to take these with me to WonderFest. I have no idea if anybody even wears belt buckles anymore. I've been wearing mine, and my wife hates it. She laughs at me every time I put it on, but I'm going to be wearing it this weekend. So anyway, it's fun. Well, guys, I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. This was a lot of fun. Last week I had no idea I would be here at my arcade again, but here I am. So next Wednesday, I don't know where I'll be. I might be here since we will just be getting back from WonderFest. I'll have to set everything back up at the shop, and so heck, we may be hanging out here again. But either way, it doesn't matter because we're going to do the show and tell next week. So make sure to email me your model kits, whether they're in progress or whether they're finished. I want to show them off. Tell me when you email them to me, make sure you tell me what they are, what brand they are, what the subject is. I know a lot of things, but I don't know close to everything. So make sure you tell me what it is so I don't mess up what it is when I announce it. And that'll be cool. We'll see you guys next week. I really appreciate it. Y'all have a good night, and I hope to see you at WonderFest. Take it easy.